Hello, everyone. This is Noseman Athanasios Presentes from the Maxon training team, and welcome to one more of our Ask the Trainer episodes featuring my very good friend, Sam Lazarus from Rokoko. And I'm going to talk.
Going on?
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Hello.
You may have seen Sam. I'm going to show you the YouTube channels for Rokoko. And do you pronounce it Rokoko or Rokoko?
Oh, it's the eternal question. I do Rokoko. So
I think the French. Oh, we lost you for a minute.
Rokoko, though, which is
So we lost you for a second, and I just want to inform people, because Sam is running everything on a single PC, and the Rokoko suite uses Wi-Fi and all that. I'm under the impression that we may have some drop-offs at a certain time, so we'll let him say. Yeah, we'll let you say what you say without listening to you, and then we will ask you to repeat it. So that's how we roll here. So we were talking about the Rokoko versus Rokoko. I think Rokoko is the French.
It's not. It's not exactly. It's not Rokoko, which is the French period.
French period.
Rokoko. So it's actually a Danish word that I forget what it means, but we're a Danish company, so it's Rokoko.
Okay.
Rokoko.
Okay. Because I did some research on the Rokoko.
That is a very beautiful painting style that I adore, actually, and is very lovely. So go look at Rokoko painting. It was C's, though.
Well, I think it followed the Baroque style, and it was architecture. It had to do with.
It was a reaction to the I don't know, but it was something. Yeah, it was very different from I think what it came before.
Okay, okay. So it's a Dutch word. I need to research even more. So before we start our very interesting hour and a bit with Sam, I'm going to do some housekeeping. So let's begin with that. Here's my screen, and here it is. And let me hide everyone from here. So first of all, Maxon Events is maxon.net/events is the page where you find all the events that Maxon is doing live, online shows, and anything else that is interesting. So make sure you follow this page and find out everything that's going on, past, present, and future. The YouTube channels you can watch all of our shows live are the Maxon Training Team channel, the Maxon YouTube channel, and in certain occasions, the ZBrush YouTube channel. But if you want to watch these shows recorded at a later date, you will only find them on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. And visit these channels because we have a ton of material. Now, let me talk about the Maxon certification in case you want to become a Cinema 4D Pro user. Go to maxon.net certification and go and check out the Pro User certification and the certification topics, this little thing over here. And this will give you an overview of what we're looking for in order to certify someone as a pro user and as a certified trainer. And I've been doing some quick tips lately that cater to the knowledge we require. And believe me, your journey through the certification, if you decide to accept it, will actually teach you at least one thing. That's my baseline is spend a lifetime, learn one thing. It's worth it, at least one thing. Now, of course, to appreciate your presence, we will give you for the month of October a free t-shirt. And for this month, for the month of October 2023, just in case someone is watching it in the future, just to know, the passcode is spooky renders, all caps, one word. And you only pay for postage and folding, as I say, or packaging, I guess. You pay for the plastic bag or something like that. Now, if you want to visit the tons of knowledge that Maxon creates, and I purposely put this page on here, go to cineversity.maxon.net, and we are always uploading new videos. And the subject, which is very close to what we are going to discuss today, we're going to tell you what Rokoko suit is in case you didn't know. I don't think there's any person that doesn't know what it is. Joe Herman did a 4-part series talking about motion capture workflows in Cinema 4D. And the previous month, September, we had 4 weeks of the same subject, and we dove in deeper. So make sure you check these out because they are relevant to what we're going to see today. Now, if you want to see what Rokoko does, go to rokoko.com and check out all the videos. This face is Sam's, and this face is Punisher, actually, with a W. I think a lot of people use the W as the Greek omega, and it's pronounced O, just like an O. I don't know why I said that. I always have to throw some Greek in there. But in any case, go and check out the Rokoko suite and all of the latest developments in technology of motion capture, because Rokoko makes it not only affordable, but very easy, too easy. Right? I have to say, it's too easy. You need to make it a bit more difficult to make people like me sound more like specialists. And finally, the Rokoko YouTube channel where Sam has, it's been a long day. I've been up very early. Where
Call
Sam,
me whatever you want. You know?
okay, George, where you can find hundreds and hundreds of videos on the technology. And there you go. So how would PW Nisher? So
Ponish. I think it's Punisher, but it's from poning, which is like a gaming term for
Punisher, there
like
you
embarrassing
go.
someone.
See,
So
my Greek genes kick in, and I see this as an omega, the small, the lowercase, and it's pronounced the same. So
I
that's
think without any evidence that that isn't how it's pronounced, I think that it can be. We can say that that is canon.
Now, I do want to say a couple of things. So we are going to be answering questions, but so this shouldn't be here. I'm going to show it later. Oh, and that shouldn't be. I promised I was going to mess up the stream by pressing the buttons. Although
yeah.
Kyle's in the background, Kyle Johnston is helping us, do it properly. But I can't help myself. So if you're asking a question in the chat, please preface it with a capitalized question so that I can distinguish it from general comments, and we will get to as many questions as we can. Usually we answer all questions. And with that said, unless I've forgotten something, I don't know, maybe I need to check out if I forgot something. I think I'm going to pass the baton over to Sam, also known as George or Peter, and
Simon.
he will talk to us about Rokoko, even if you don't know what it is. So, hit the floor.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. This is really awesome. I was started as a Cinema 4D user. I still use it on the daily, and so being here is really an honor. So thank you for having me. And I will reiterate again, yeah, sorry for any internet problems I'm having. I might need to ask you to repeat yourself sometimes, Thanasis, but yeah, so sorry about that in advance. But I'm pumped to be here. I'm pumped to talk about motion capture, which is becoming more and more accessible with every hour, and more and more relevant, I think, to even the generalist, especially the generalist, who is kind of who we target. And so, yeah, this should be a lot of fun. We're gonna play around. We're gonna do some mocap. We're gonna make some mocap. We can take a recommendation for what we record, or you can direct. And then we're going to hop into Cinema, and we're going to go through some basic workflows, some fun little demos that I have, and it should be kind of a blast. So,
and as far as I understand, we are going to do a live capture as well.
Yes, we are going to jump in the suit. I'm wearing the suit right now. I've actually got it up to my waist. I've just got it wrapped around my waist. Yeah, normally I put it on fully, but I thought I'd save myself 30 seconds. It takes about
30 seconds, Sam is saying. It takes about
a minute to hop in the suit, so it's really easy. And yeah, that's kind of a good.
Yeah, we missed the time frame. We missed when you were saying it takes about, and
sorry.
Don't worry. I said 30 seconds.
Okay, so. Sorry. No, sorry everyone. Yeah, that might continue happening. It's just bad internet. But yeah, it takes 60 seconds to hop into a suit, and that might be kind of a good place to start in just who are we? that mocap is a growing field. There's a lot of names. And so who are we? What's our approach? And we can just start there. So yeah, I work for Rokoko. We are a motion capture hardware and software company. Our flagship product is a suit, a mocap suit that you wear. It's an inertial motion capture suit, which means it works off of Wi-Fi. It's got sensors that are distributed throughout the suit that are recording rotational data of each sensor. And then that goes over Wi-Fi to the computer, where we rebuild that up into an approximation of your movement. And I say that an approximation of your movement because with inertial motion capture, it's a different type of motion capture from AI mocap or volume mocap or some of these other systems out there. And in terms of who we are targeting, kind of our motto is democratizing motion capture. So the goal for us has always been keep the suit as cheap as possible. You can get a full bundle with suit and gloves for $3,500, I think it is now, US dollars, which is a lot of money, but is very cheap relative to the $10,000, the $6,000, the $20,000, the $100,000 systems that also exist. So keep it affordable, reliable, and then really easy to use by a single person, like in your home office or your bedroom, right? That's our goal. So that's the audience that we're serving.
And I think that's the huge breakthrough is that it's like when 3D software cost $40,000-$50,000 a seat, and suddenly you could buy 3D software, $1,000 or $3,000, which it's still a lot of money, but much, much less.
Right. In context, though, it's like an unbelievable money, but
Sam,
it is for
Can
somebody.
you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, for it's for somebody who doesn't have all that money. It still allows them to get into the game and start making motion capture, which is
all
awesome.
you need is off the shelf. You don't even need a specialized router.
No. Just a normal Wi-Fi router. I use a dedicated Wi-Fi router. Also, probably some of the internet problems are because I have an Ethernet connection to my computer that's handling my internet streaming and talking to you, but then I'm also connected to a offline Wi-Fi router that's in my room that I'm going to be using for mocap, right? So because our tech works off of Wi-Fi, it is important to have a generic off-the-shelf Wi-Fi router that's there, in the room, because you want good Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah, when I was setting up my Rokoko setup, I just unearthed an old Wi-Fi router I had, which the switch had broken, and I was too lazy to fix it. So I bought a new one, $100, and I found it in a box. I installed it. It supports 5G speeds, and that's my dedicated router, and that's it. I'm pretty sure if you go to Value Village or Salvation Army or something like that, you're going to find something like that, $15, and it's going to be adequate to work with. So yeah, that's another thing. You don't need specialized equipment. That's it.
Yeah. No, you don't. You need the suit and you need a computer. But I've even, for our software, it's pretty low compute. So I've recorded on an old MacBook Air before, and it's getting the mocap we've made it really easy, which is awesome. And actually a lot of the other mocap companies have too. Mocap is easier than ever. What still is difficult is retargeting, getting the motion capture onto your characters. That is still a process that is, especially it's a new technology. So there's not a ton of tutorials out there. We try really hard to put up hardware agnostic mocap tutorials on our YouTube channel. And just because it is difficult, it's still a thing to get the mocap onto the character. That is still the challenge, if you will. But it's easier than ever, and we're gonna go through some easy ways to do it.
Not if you watch our seminars. It's not.
And not if you watch our seminars.
I do think. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I do think that the thing I'm always fighting against is, I think sometimes in mocap, especially with all these new systems, with any of the companies, with Wonder, with Move.ai, with us, it's so easy to get the mocap. So people you go in thinking that this is going to be the easiest, it's all taken care of. And it's CG. So I like people to go in knowing that this is CG it's still kind of complicated. It still depends on what you're doing, but it is so accessible. And if you just watch a few tutorials, like it is not that difficult, but like the price, it's all relative, right? So it's still CG, but it's on the easy side of CG, I think. So that's my caveat. But I think it's good because no tool like solves all the problems. It just doesn't exist yet. And so,
Yeah, sure. One thing
yeah.
I want to say from my personal experience is, first of all, I'm going to reply to my very good friend Sharon and say that I do have pictures of myself wearing the suit. It's going to cost you some cash, but we can come to an arrangement. Okay, if anyone wants to see me in a Rokoko suit, maybe make YouTube channel monetized, and you can go and watch me try and do my performance. Talking about performance, while Sam is wearing the suit,
Yeah,
I want to say one thing. What impressed me when I first used it is that you can be, we've seen work from excellent character animators, and the amount of emotion and the precision and all that, it's absolutely outstanding. What I found so mind-blowing, especially the Rokoko and the gloves, was that you get immediately that sense that what you're seeing is alive, because it comes with it doesn't come with the polish you would see in a very, very refined character animation, a Pixar level movie, a Disney level movie, where you see that everything is really well done, extremely well done. But when you're using a suit, you get that the human aspect of it, that our emotions are never perfect. The gestures are never absolutely accurate, and that is what makes it believable. And I found that extremely, extremely helpful. And if you combine what Joe was showing us in September, how to retarget, and you can do corrections and so forth, you take everything about the performance capture that you like, you fix everything that you don't, and you get the perfect medium. That's why it's something that anyone that does character animation, even for reference, even if you want to use it for very good reference in 3 dimensions, it does make your life much, much easier.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, that is the problem that we are trying to solve, is that if you're a generalist and if you're someone who's a solo creator, and we don't just serve generalists, but I find that's who we orient ourselves towards. And it's because animation is one of the hardest aspects of CG. It's not like texturing, where, I mean, texturing is incredibly difficult too. There's artistry to that, but I do a little texturing. Like I can do a little modeling. I've done a little modeling. Like I can close a door when I'm animating. Maybe I can make a car drive, down a spline, but character animation is this incredibly complicated, multidisciplinary niche of CG, where you need to know anatomy, you need to know physics, you need to know performance and emotion, which is so hard on its own. And so with mocap, you get to kind of jump the line and just put on a suit, and it's something. These are a lot of things that we inherently are able to do, but we can't do the hand keying necessarily, but we can do them with our body. And so it's a great shortcut, especially for someone who is a generalist and is doing this all on their own. And again, not that we're just targeting generalists, but I just find it's a good person to orient. And also the thing about motion capture is, if you watch any VFX short, any cutscene in a video game, you play any video game, it's all about characters. Every short is mostly about, there's a character and they're moving, and the way that they move and the things that they do betray their motivation. And so if you can create character animation, it allows you to do storytelling in a much broader way than you can, I think, with, if you couldn't animate a character. And so it's really valuable. I think the ability to do mocap, however you do it, with Rokoko, with any of the other tools, it's really exciting. And I get really jazzed up about it. And so, yeah, let's we'll get into it.
And one thing I do want to add, first of all, thank you for exposing me. The only reason I was impressed was because I cannot animate a still cube. But anyhow, besides that, one thing you touched upon, what you could do with any performance capture, and because it's extremely simple, for example, you can just use one hand and a glove. Okay, you connect it up properly and you do some sort of animation. It doesn't mean that because you're capturing performance using your body, that you're going to use that on a body. You can animate parts of a car. You can animate. And by the way, in case anyone didn't know, Rokoko offers full performance capture, including face. So you have everything from the tip of your head all the way down to your toes, and there you have it. And you just use your iOS or another. Does it work only with iOS?
It does. We have a non-iOS version coming, which we're very
Okay,
excited
there you
about.
go.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I guess it's because ARKit is a bit more advanced as compared to other kits.
And everyone has an iPhone in their pocket, so a lot of it.
True.
I mean, Unreal uses iOS.
Yes.
A lot of them use iOS now because Apple bought Face Shift, I believe,
Yes.
and locked up the 52 blend shapes that you need for facial motion capture. And
Yes.
so a lot of it has to do with an iPhone, but we're hopefully going to be out of iPhone world at some point soon, which will be nice.
Yeah, and there you go.
Yeah, and actually, so you bring this up before we get into a demo. I will also just kind of run through the other types of mocap that we do. Right, we have a suit. This is our flagship. It's amazing. It's inertial. We have gloves. They work natively with the suit. Finger and hand motion capture is notoriously difficult to do, and it adds so much emotion. So the fact that it all works natively is really great. We have this thing is awesome. This is our new head rig. This is it holds an iPhone, but it could hold any phone. It could hold a GoPro if you wanted, whatever. It's a hardware agnostic head rig this is just awesome. It's super cheap, $200, like compared to the $600, the $1,200 options that I don't know why there wasn't a cheaper option, but like, this is great. Go get yourself one of these, even if you have nothing to do with Rokoko. This is just like an amazing tool. So I'm so pleased about this. And then
we were discussing, I do remember we were having the chat when in the previous iteration, it was a chest harness.
Yes.
And there was wiggles and all that. You know that since we had that discussion that I actually prototyped my own, I got a little construction site helmet. I used the harness from that, and I did some wire and 3D printing, and that was my face capture rig.
Yeah. And that works too. Honestly, that still works. Like, do that. It's great. I think buying a $1,200 rig, that's insane to me. This is like more affordable, but that's what I did for years too. And it worked like fine. It was a little messy to hand to clients.
There's one caveat though. I think it cost me very close to $200 after all the iterations, the materials, and especially the time. So sometimes you think, it cost me $15 for the wire and the filament and $25 for the helmet and some screws and all that. Yeah, I'm not going to go and pay $200. In the meantime, you spend 120 hours trying to put that together, and you realize I could have been working a low-wage job and I would have made those $200 in all this time. So it is a very affordable.
And there's no chin strap, which is also just killer on on a jury rigged thing. But yeah, so but I will briefly also say that we have this AI solution. We have a single. If you go to Rokoko.com right now, you can for free download Rokoko Studio. Like, we have sample scenes. If you want to just know what our mocap looks like it's all free. You just sign in with you sign up for a Rokoko ID. We have a free single camera AI mocap solution that you can upload videos to, unlimited mocap. There's no monthly tier cap limit or anything. We have a 2-camera solution that we're going to be making real time soon. And so we're AI mocap is coming, and we are working in that world as well. And there's some other fantastic mocap tools. Rokoko has limitations, those have limitations. You kind of got to choose your limitations at some point. But then beyond AI, we have something called the Coil Pro coming. And this is a very interesting, completely new piece of mocap technology that works via EMF fields. So we generate a big EMF field within which it can track objects in absolute position, which just means you're going to get really accurate mocap and you don't have occlusion problems. You can be doing it in the dark. That will be very exciting too. So that's coming out at the end of the year. So those are kind of the Rokoko buckets that we have.
Yeah, everything, all the information, you'll find it on the Rokoko website and the Rokoko YouTube channel. So I think it's a couple of hours worth watching, so you can see where the industry is going as well, in case you're planning to do something. But there is free Rokoko motion capture using a webcam. That's for me is a huge highlight. You may not be able to do, everything you do with everything else, but you can actually do motion capture. That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, custom, and it's limited in terms of the quality because it's a non-depth, single webcam, but also it's like great. And especially we're going to be looking at some procedural sims later, like a little demo that I have. And for that, it's great to generate custom movement and stuff. And it's also free, so you can jump in and just have some fun. And so I do love that we have that. But yeah.
So can you share your screen, if you may?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump into it. Okay. And again, so we might get pop-outs again because of just the way that I've got this set up. I apologize if I go dark for a second here, but I'm going to share my screen. Share screen.
Drum roll.
Screen 2. Allow. Okay. Boom.
Okay, let's get you in. Oh, I think I clicked add and Kyle clicked add and one of us clicked remove. I always mess things up. This is Kyle's job. And because
these are the level of things that go wrong, we're okay.
Yeah, it's all my fault. Everyone, I have to admit, it's all my fault. I'm over eager to spoil other people's work. Okay, there we go. So Sam is fully connected now.
Yeah, so I am. This is Rokoko Studio. This is our, again, free. If you want to download it, like you can go and get sample scenes for free, and you can check out how the whole thing works. And so here we are in a new scene, and I'm just gonna put on my glovies here. And again, we have a live stream every Thursday that I do, and usually I put on the suit like from scratch, and it takes about a minute. We have a raw like demo of me getting in the suit and making motion capture. And I think one of the things that is really exciting that I love about Rokoko is that there's very few points of failure. Like as good as some of the new AI mocap systems are, when you have a bunch of cameras that can also, like, if one thing goes wrong on one iPhone, it's just, especially if you're working alone, it can be a lot, and things can go wrong, and it can be very frustrating when you're trying to record some mocap and like it's not working. And Rokoko, in my experience, has always been very reliable. Like it just works. I was actually a customer of Rokoko before I worked for them. I bought a suit, and it's still the only thing that I've ever gotten in CG, plug in, program, whatever, where I like opened it and it worked. It just worked immediately, which was very.
Sam, I have to say something. It's not very good. You need to take that taken care of. Your arms are disconnected. Sorry.
This doesn't look good. You don't like this?
No. I find it exciting, but I think you need some medical advice.
So let's get into it. So what I've done right now is basically this is raw motion capture. I've connected my suit up, and you can see it doesn't look right, but you can see all the bits of me, bits and bobs moving about. Hold on. Of course, though. See, this is when things start going wrong. Just got disconnected. But what we're going to do is we're going to add in an actor profile. So this is kind of how we control for some of the unknowns when you have different people of different heights, and especially for inertial motion capture. Basically, we need to orient our program around the actor.
I can talk about
my measurements. I've got like my arm span.
Rewind, 5 seconds, rewind, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We need to organize our motion capture around.
Basically around.
I think the internet doesn't
limbs
like
in the right spot, and we can.
Sam.
And we can get accurate mocap. Yeah, still not good.
It failed again at the word around. So can you avoid saying the word around?
Yeah, I'll never say the round word. But basically, this is, you put in your measurements, and it helps us get better motion capture, right? And as soon as I drag on my suit, onto my character. And now we'll do a, let me do a calibration pose here.
While you're doing the
I gotta put on
calibration, I do want to tell
my
people
strap,
that
my head strap here. We'll do a straight pose. It's very quick to do a straight pose, a calibration pose. In some of the other programs, it can be a bit of a mess. 3 seconds, you know, and
I have to say, I want to say something. That when I received the suit, and so Sam, I didn't see you were not wearing your earphones, and I was just talking over you. But I'm
sorry.
Greek, so that's what Greeks do anyway, so it's normal. What I was going to say is that the moment I received the suit and I unpacked it, it took me no more than 30 minutes to set the whole thing up, and that included watching Sam's tutorials, right? So it's a 30-minute setup, including watching the tutorial. So it's extremely easy, and the tutorials are extremely good, and what you just saw is all you have to do. That's it.
Yeah, it is that easy. It really is. It takes me, 90 seconds, literally. Like, not trying to go fast. It's just you put on the suit and you plug it in, and it's all set up and it works. And that is really great if I'm trying to quickly get some mocap. And also the nice thing about inertial motion capture is that there's no minimum space requirement. With our AI mocap tool, with move.ai, because you can't use wide angle lenses, and maybe you can in some of the other programs, but generally for mocap for AI, you can't use wide angle lenses because it introduces distortion in the image. It means that you need a space, like even the small, I mean, I'm in not a tiny office, but I would not have enough room in here to do AI mocap. So the fact that I can just like hop into my suit in my office and do like a samurai motion that I need for whatever is really nice. So again, and there's limitations for inertial motion capture. I like to say that too. Like the limitations for inertial mocap is, you can see my hands, they're like not touching perfectly. That's just a given limitation of inertial. And so that's like versus the limitation of you need a minimum space requirement for AI mocap. So there is, I always like to say there's really no one tool that is perfect for every workflow. Workflows are so different in the CG world now that, you have to kind of pick and choose what limitations you're willing to work with. I like the Rokoko limitations, but that's not to say that they're, perfect for everyone. So
let me make a rational claim here. I used it in around a space that was between 30 and 35 square feet. Okay. I mean, I had less space than I could actually extend myself. If I extended my leg a bit too much, I could hit a couch. So given that you have the limitation of the inertial system, which may introduce inaccuracies, but you can fix them very well if you go and watch Joe Herman's tutorials, or if you want to buy a property that will cost you in the current market a lot of money to have more space to jump around and buy a more expensive system, I think that the logical solution is to go for an inertial system.
It's all about limitations, right? Yeah, and exactly. And also I think, when it comes to the limitations of Rokoko, and you can see actually we're getting a little drift on my head sensor because it doesn't like these headphones, which I normally never wear. But my head is starting to drift. We'll do another calibration in a second. Like that's another limitation. But these are just they're very simple. Like if I'm not wearing headphones, we don't get this problem. But with mocap, you're never trying to get to 100% in the first place. Like, because when you even if your mocap was perfect, you have to go and retarget it onto a character that has different proportions. And that means you're going to have to do editing anyway. And so the goal for mocap is always get to 85, 95%, because with the knowledge that you might need to go in and do tweaks for like a AAA project. But let's just record something, and I'm going to do another calibration. I'm going to take my headphones off. I'm going to do some fast-paced motions and just do a recording so we can jump in and check that out. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take these off, but so you can narrate this, but I'm not gonna hear it.
Okay,
here I go.
Go, do it. I wish I had some background.
So we'll do another cal.
There you go. Stand in straight pose. I'm narrating. Straighten your arms, hands, and fingers. Calibrating. Calibration complete.
And again, my head wouldn't have been drifting if I hadn't been wearing over-ear headphones. But let's do a recording.
and clicking the button. 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to comment on that. We've lost Sam. He's back, sitting on the chair, waving his fingers.
Okay. Let's cut it. How'd that look?
Oh, great. Can I ask you a question? I'm very curious.
Yeah, please.
If you have a friend that has a suit, what is the best way to mess with them? If I get one of those microwave oven,
how to make their mocap bad?
Yeah, if you get a transformer, hide it somewhere.
If you can get into the foundation of their house, just lay some, just lay down some chain link fence. Get a cell tower to be opened up next to their place. Maybe that might mess with it. Generally, one of the big problems that we've had in the past is magnetic interference. Thankfully, we've been able to get rid of that in a large part. You can see not entirely if like you're holding up weird metal to a sensor, but that has been, normally it would be like, get some weird metal and hide it in his walls, I guess. But even that doesn't really mess up the suit as much as it used to, which is
That's
good.
disappointing though.
I know. I'm sorry. We can revert back. We'll roll back some firmware for you if you want. Yeah, have them just use firmware from 2 years ago, and that would mess up the current performance.
While I'm fooling around, what you're seeing on your screens is Sam's performance.
Yeah, this is it.
Including the one I didn't want to comment on. And look at that. That was it. You just press a button.
So easy, right? So simple. And this is and also the fact that it's real time is amazing. I love that. I hate having to wait 15 minutes for a process take to come back to me, because by that time, I just want to go into cinema now. I don't want to wait. I'm moving quickly, right? I got clients breathing down my neck. For me, and also for talent, I always worry about with a Wonder. I've heard stories with Wonder Studios, which is a mocap system that relies on single camera video data, which is amazing. The things that it can do, Wonder is incredible. But if you are relying on it solely and you find out after the take that some of the clips didn't process well, it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So there's there's limitations with all these systems. I love the fact that this is real time. I get to see my take immediately. And I mean, this looked amazing from the jump. What can happen, and you can see down here, if we get into the weeds of what's going on, the way that Rokoko motion capture works is a lot of it's based on foot contacts with the ground. And Thanasis, hit me if I drop out again. I'm so sorry in advance, because I'm sure I will. But these down here represent our foot contacts with the ground. You can see if I zoom in here, as soon as my left foot comes off the ground and it's visualized in the scene, here you can see this is this bar, right? This is our foot is on the ground during the solid parts, and then it comes off. If we were to artificially screw this up, or if we got a bad capture, which does happen, it's very easy to fix mistakes, right? I will, it's very common. It's actually less common these days now. It used to be much more common that you would have errors like this. I would be watching my mocap back and I'm like, well, that looks terrible. But the way to fix it, right, is we just go and we just got to help the computer out. It takes 30 seconds to do a little cleanup. And it's fixed, right? So I love that it's very easy to fix things like this. And you have a view into what's happening, right? I like control. It's scary to me to send something up to be processed in a way that I have no control over it. So again, that's one of the good things about Rokoko, and we have other limitations that I know I say this a lot, but I really hate it when companies say our product will solve all your problems. It's not true. Our product is amazing. I love it. It's perfect for many workflows. And then there's situations where it might not be. And so you need to, when you're evaluating these systems, you need to kind of think about what limitations you're willing to live with, right?
And
Are
you
you
said
going
it
to have
before.
space?
It's down to the realism of the industry. Okay, you will, unless you're doing a green puppet movie with a gray background sitting on a non-chair, anything else you would want to do, you will have to do something to this. And it's just one of those essential things you need to do. Now, for the people that are doing green puppet movies on dark gray backgrounds with invisible chairs, I think the technology is perfect.
The technology does not need to evolve any further. This is it. This is the peak for Green Newton, and we can change the color of him. Don't worry, we have that technology. But and sometimes you don't need to do any cleanup. For so much stuff is on Instagram these days and small format. Like, who cares if there's a little clipping in the leg that from the arm hitting the leg? Like, oftentimes it doesn't matter. But if you want to create AA, AAA level mocap and character performances, then there will always be an element of cleanup or at least like tweakage that you will need to get into. And we are certainly no different from all of the mocap companies. And this is doubly true of like Marvel, $100, not 100 maybe, but multiple millions dollars worth studios, mocap studios. That mocap goes through more cleaning than like anything. At the end of the day, it's like not even motion capture anymore, right? So it's just getting the mocap has become very easy, but that there is still can be work involved in getting it onto your character. Now, that being said, we did just introduce a bunch of really fun new features into Rokoko Studio that I was super excited about. One of which is that you can now import Mixamo characters. You just download them in a T-pose, you auto rig a character or whatever on Mixamo and download it in a T-pose, right? And then you can import it into Rokoko Studio and you can do your retargeting live in Rokoko Studio. And already, like, this all just works. It doesn't work for every character type, right? It has to be Mixamo. It has to be an Unreal skeleton. But, a lot of what I do is Mixamo for a background character, right? Like, I don't need anything more than this. And I can export this mocap on the character, bring it directly into Cinema, and not have to do retargeting. So this was a very exciting feature that we just came out with. And what was even more cool about this is you can see that, like, look at this. This is no good. We've got gross clipping. His hands are going into the body. And that's a function, again, of this character's proportions being different from mine, right? But if we go in, we've got some of these adjustment tools now. So we can even adjust the arm spread. Again, similar to Mixamo. Mixamo is where I lived for most of my life, right? And it still is amazing and is one of a kind. And so the fact that we can get some Mixamo-esque adjustments in here is really awesome too. It just makes everything really easy to like keep cruising, right? The goal is just make your mocap, cinema, go. Like, you don't want to get bogged down in the details, right?
Can I address a question that was just
please?
So G Fort, the question is, let's show the question. How hard is it to retarget to awkwardly shaped characters, short legs, big head, and that kind of stuff? That's an extremely good question. Now, what you need to remember is that with motion capture, we're not dealing with IK, the endpoint of motion. We're dealing with forward kinematics, which means rotations. Now, imagine, and this is an example, I don't remember if I did it in a tutorial or a presentation. Imagine a very, very tall person walking at a normal pace. Usually someone with the long legs has a larger stride. So a normal step could be, let's say, 3 feet, 2 feet, or something like that. Whereas a child with the same proportions, but in shorter, will take a shorter stride when walking at an equivalent pace. If your character is moving, if you have done the motion capture, the performance capture with someone that is tall and has a longer stride, then one rotation of the limbs, the legs, is going to propel them, let's say 3 feet. And if you retarget that, let's say into a dwarf from Lord of the Rings that has smaller feet, that stride would only be 1.5 foot. But the body is going to be moving 3 feet because that's what the motion capture caught. So the advice I give everyone is you could go and retarget it. You can go and fix it because you can do any kind of fixes you want. But when you are capturing performance that will be applied to a special awkward character, try and imitate that style of walking. So if you are an average between 5.5 and 6'3" male, and you want to imitate a child, when you're walking, walk with smaller strides. So these are some of the methods you can use. If the character has a big head, and you've seen it in the making of various movies where the actors, they don't wear a prosthetic head, but they have trusses or made out of wire that indicate the edges of the head. Imagine if my head was this big. Just make some sort of very simple harness out of balsa wood or plastic or wire so that you have a reference. If you want to hold your head and go, oh my God, what happened? But your head is not this small now. You have to account for that. And it's just going to make your lives easier. So a bit of planning is the best thing to do. If you have a huge belly, make sure that you move your arms away from your body. And again, wearing a minimally made prosthetic suit, or you put a couple of pillows on
with a belt around it, you know?
Exactly. But that will be the best way to do that. On the other hand, if you don't want to bother with that, then just sit in Cinema 4D and do some correctional animation, and you're good to go at the end of the day. If you catch the spirit of the animation of the performance, then you can do all the other adjustments. But it's good to have fewer things to have to deal with.
Yeah, and I'm just loading back into a scene here. Sorry, it's just because I'm doing I got internet things. We're streaming as well. But yeah, I think that's a great question. I get that question all the time, and as you said, the place that you run into issues the most is with your feet. Because of stride, because of the distance of the hips to the ground. And usually though, the arms are all fine, right? The arms are fine. The head is fine. The only issue you're going to have is if you are retargeting to a troll or like a gnome or whatever, a character with very long arms, much longer than yours, like a gorilla, then you're going to, if you are clapping in your motion capture, well, the same action is being taken, but the mesh is now, the arms are out to here. So you're going to get issues with clapping, with digital touching, with things like that. So, but generally there are like plenty of workarounds, and I've retargeted to all sorts of size characters, and you can get it working just fine. But it's something to be aware of, certainly. And
you could do certain tricks. While you were saying that, I was thinking, well, most of all the joint movements for motion capture are rotational, but then you have your pelvis, which has positional, which is what propels the whole rig around. It has rotational as well for full body rotations, but what moves it around and up and down is position. You could have an espresso tag that takes you find the ratio between the captured legs, how tall is your pelvis from the ground when you captured it. Just use a measuring tape, and then your character, how big your character is. And if you use that to change the propelling distance, so those 3 feet for every stride example I gave, if the feet are half as tall, you're going to have half the distance. So you can even rig that in a way that then all you have to do is put the proportion between the captured performance and the size, the height of the hips or the pelvis for the captured performance and your animated character, and you'll come very close to doing that automatically. So you don't even need to account for those things. But generally, knowing what the problem could be understanding what the differences and how the technology works. That's the most important thing. Rotations only. What problems can happen? Knowing those things will allow you to plan and fix them in after the fact.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there are solutions. And again, you can check out our YouTube channel, and we have more tutorials. Like, we're going to be getting into this stuff in a little bit as we go through actual retargeting demo in a second. But yeah, there are resources to fix those things. And also, like with motion capture too, you kind of, it's good to work with the limitations. I don't jump into cinema or whatever and do a billion particle sim because I want to. Like, I know that there's less limitations with 2024 now in terms of what you can do with how amazing it is. But like, you need to work to the limitations. So, hey, if you've got a character, you know, the feet are going to be like weird and it's going to take you a bunch of time to fix it. You know, maybe you just crop out the feet, like when you shoot, right? Or you do a, you know, you understand those going in. And I think that's just that's an important part of it. Okay. So I'm back up.
By the way, we lost Sam again. Just in case you didn't notice.
Sorry for the delay.
Can you repeat that? We lost you for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's because I jumped back into Studio. But yes, I wanted to go through and show our live streaming plugin as well, because we can live stream our data directly to Cinema 4D. And if you want to know more about that, you can go to our GitHub page. Just Google, Rokoko GitHub Cinema 4D. It's on our website too, but you can find this page. But here you can find instructions on how to install the live streaming plugin. And let's do a little live streaming. You get this little warning because of our plugin. It just takes you to that page actually. And we're going to open up Cinema here. It's opening up. I'm going to do another straight pose in the meantime because I jumped out. Hold on. We're going to open up a prepped demo scene that I got here.
Octane.
So this is a
traitor.
I know, I'm an Octane boy. I'm sorry. I'm moving to Redshift.
We love Octane as well. We love Octane.
I mean, Octane's the best, you know? Okay, but I'm going to do a calibration pose here. And actually, and we'll just do it. I'm going to put my head sensor back on, and we'll just try and see what happens.
Now that Sam can't listen, no, I'm not going to say anything.
Calibration.
Yep. It's good to do calibration between scenes. There we go.
Okay. And then we will quickly set up our live streaming. So again, we have tutorials on how all this works. I just kind of want to show it working. Activate our live streaming. We go into Studio or Cinema. I've got a Mixamo character here. You can use it with non-Mixamo characters, but Mixamo characters, everything gets filled out automatically for you. You can see it's filling out the bone list here of all the different bones. And if we open up our Rokoko Studio Live and we connect, I don't have any face tracking data. We are streaming live into Cinema, which is awesome. This is super useful, right? This could be used in a bunch of different ways. We can record directly to the character, to the timeline. Start recording. Stop. We can bake it into a new take. We can keep the take that we're on. We can do frame decimation, which can give you like more of a claymation-y vibe, which is kind of interesting. Then we hit bake keyframes at 0, and let's disconnect. And looky what we got here. We got the mocap that we just recorded directly into Studio. So this is just another tool for using Rokoko in Cinema. You can see it came through like really well. And yeah, this is awesome. I think this is just a really fun thing to call out. And if we wanted to get our face capture working too, hold on, let me try and do that quickly too. is we have our face capture tech here. We jump back into Rokoko Studio. You can see we're going to get drift again because I'm using the headphones. I just opened up. We have an app on the App Store. You just connect. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Looks really great. Uses the AR kit. Same thing with this guy. This guy actually has an AR kit face. Hi, here I am, making.
That's cool.
Hands and face. So
we're
lost super proud of this. And again,
rewind 5 seconds, please.
So full performance capture, right? Hands, body, and face. And of course, I can throw on this guy as well. Here, let me just do that. I'm going to take off my headphones. I'm sorry. I'm not going to catch what you're saying. Sorry for all this headphone swappery. Let me. Nice little clamp. I can throw my sensor on the back here, clamp in, throw my iPhone on. Works really great. So this is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get it all connected here. But this is awesome. I can do a calibration directly from my phone, which is really cool. So I never even need to. I don't even need to leave Cinema, right? So super cool. Just a fun thing to call out, and just an easy way to get facial motion capture on a character without having to copy keyframes or do something like that. So this is super cool. Love this stuff. Okay. So done with that.
Find it really funny. Sam, does that hurt?
It hurts so much. I mean, but these are some interesting. I always think this is kind of interesting. It's like this is a good, Exorcist, Blair Witch situation that you could get going. And then I love seeing people doing interesting things like with the Rokoko tech that we didn't expect. I'm holding the neck, but like you could do this in a bunch of different, I don't know, there's a bunch of puppetry things that you could do that are interesting and
everyone's finding it amusing. I'd like to address a couple of questions from.
Please, yes.
So, can we convert those keyframes to motion system in Cinema 4D? Yeah, these are normal keyframes. So this is absolutely no different than any other of the motion capture you receive from anywhere. It's just a bunch of joints that have rotational keyframes on them, and that's just about it. So just like with any other keyframed animation, you can make it into the motion system, and all the motion capture that is delivered in the asset manager, those are the same kinds of files. That's it. So there's no difference in that. A second question. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, please. No, yeah. Again, I get this question too, and it's just rotational keyframes. So you can use that in any way that you want, right? Like it's just rotational data. So you can, of course, you can definitely use it in the take system, but also you could use it in a myriad of different ways, right? Because it's just data. There's nothing special about it. It's just joints with rotations on them. And like, that's it. Sorry, next question. What's the next one?
The next question, again by Sharon, is do his hands touch each other or is there an approximation gap? Again, because the system is inertial, which means it senses the acceleration, deceleration, and orientation of various parts of the body. So the suit, and the reason it's a suit is to encapsulate some sensors that go on your forearm, over here, on your hand, on your bicep. Where are the other ones? They're on the
hips.
side.
upper leg. It kind of follows a skeleton, a Mixamo skeleton. If you really look at that, right?
And basically, and one thing to say here is that the reason this can work, because even with your phone has all the appropriate sensors, as each and every one of the sensors of the suit has. But if you try to do any kind of capture, motion capture with your phone, you will see that there's a huge drift. The trick is that the studio has some amazing software built in. And what that software allows you to do is, for example, if the one sensor for some reason glitches out and the arm appears to be 16 feet long because the sensor thought there was a sudden acceleration and it moved away, the software says you cannot have an arm that's 16 feet long.
Yes.
So immediately it corrects that data. Now, the problem that all inertial systems have, which I always forget the name, the EMF
magnetometer, magnetic interference.
Your product. It's called.
The coil.
The coil. The coil mitigates that, but without the coil, what happens is the error accumulates over time.
Yes.
It does do corrections, but you don't know which one. If everything is slipping in a certain direction, you do not know which one is the single one you want to correct. So overall, you may have the whole body sliding away. A good experiment is to lift your feet from the ground, sit in a chair, and spin around. That's going to drive the system crazy. That's where the software comes in, and it uses the foot contact, where it uses that to anchor down the rig and then correct for all the other rotations to create a plausible approximation of a human body. So what does that say in terms of your question, Sharon? Is that you will always have some error in the end, the longer the performance is. Shorter performances and the slower performances have a tendency of having less error. Also, EMF, if for any reason you have a lot of magnetic interference, for whatever reason, you live under a tower, right? A cell tower, you will find that the errors are higher. But for most of the stuff it's used, including the time you're going to spend calibrating it in the studio, which is very simple. And it uses an extremely simple method. Just get the foot contact where it is in the right time, and that calibrates the whole rig, plus a bit of correction inside Cinema 4D. Then you can make the hands touch properly and so forth. But you will always have some sort of error, whether it's visible or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and again, like, I am the first one to say, like, inertial motion capture, all inertial motion capture, which is not all mocap types, but us, XN's perception neuron, there is an inherent limitation, is that you will, maybe your hands will touch, maybe you'll be able to touch a shoulder like perfectly, but usually, like, you won't. That's a limitation of this type of motion capture. But that being said, again, the thing that I always come back to is, if you are touching hands, if you're clapping, for instance, and let's say you use Marvel's amazing mocap system and it's perfect, it's Josh Brolin clapping and the mocap is like perfect, right? His hands, like, they touch and he can touch his fingers and he can scratch his nose tip perfectly. It's perfect. When you put it on Thanos, it doesn't matter anymore. It's not perfect anymore. It's gone. That's now, you need to edit that. So assuming you're going to use mocap with a character, which is like how you normally use mocap, although you can do it in abstract ways too, almost always your character will have different proportions to you. So the way that we approach it is that we would rather keep our suit as cheap and affordable as possible, with the knowledge that you're going to have to go in and do, like, cleanup if you want things like touching your hands, but you're going to have to do that regardless of the system that you have, because no matter how good the mocap is assuming your character is different proportions to you, which they almost inevitably will be, even if your hands are touching in the mocap, your characters are not. They just, because their arms are longer, because their legs are longer, right? So for us, like, a win is that's acceptable. You know, clapping and having the hands like look like this in the mocap, that's fine. The rotational data is there. You just need to drag that hand down and connect them, do a little tiny bit of editing in post. And that's like acceptable given that you're going to have to do that regardless of how good the mocap is in the beginning. And our suit is like cheaper. So that's kind of the calculus we've taken. And I believe in that. Like I most of the time you're not going to have to do editing anyway, unless you are having instances where you're touching parts of you're touching your other hand usually, or you're touching a body part. Like you'll have to clean that up. That's just the way that it goes with Rokoko. But you would have had to do that no matter what. Yeah. So for us, it's like, it's okay.
I have some advice.
That's kind of the thing.
If someone wants to shoot a movie of themselves, so it's going to be the same character that's doing the performance. So I have
a digital double. This is a different thing. Totally, so totally.
If I were to shoot my own self, 100% digital double, I would just shoot myself with a camera and not bother with animation. So there is that solution as well. If you want, but what I'm trying to emphasize here is that if you're going to retarget it to a different character and not your precise, even if it's a digital double of yourself, it won't be 100% your body. It will be a translation of your measurements into a computer. So you will have to do something about that. So don't forget, there are the visible problems and then the invisible problems. And I always bring this up. If you watch any Hollywood movie, it's not real villages, especially in Western, it's facades. So our industry is all about making things. And this applies to this thing as well. And I want to, Sam.
That's a great analogy. Oh my God.
I said it too. I say it too often. You haven't been watching all my shows. So this question, how are the suits sized? Can you enlighten us, please, Sam?
Yes. So I'm 5'6". I'm wearing a medium. We have a small, medium, large, extra large. And that's in what's great is that you can get the textiles separately and the same sensors. I don't know if you can see this, but they're just Velcroed into the suit. And you can exchange them between textiles, you know, because a lot of the times one of the use cases we have for the suits is like, it's like a small 3 to 5 person studio, or it's a bigger studio. It's whatever, Ubisoft, and they have a suit that, you know, multiple people are using. So you might want to wash that suit if you're sharing it, which you can do. You just pull the sensors out and you can wash it, or you can put the sensors into like, you know, you've got a tiny 5'2" person and you've got a 6'4" person. You can use the same sensors in 2 different textiles, which you can buy separately. So, and same thing goes, you can't remove the sensors from the gloves, but we have different, you know, we have small, medium, large, and it covers the range.
As far as the suit is, just so that everyone knows, the suit is to fit the sensors in the right places. That's the only thing they do. In theory, you can put the sensors, you can strap them if you know the right position on your body. You can wear a bathing suit and go and do some swimming motion capture. Let's say
I wouldn't do that, but
you get the point.
We get that question all the time too. Is like, why have it in a suit? You know, Mocopi is out, and which is another mocap system. They don't use a suit. We found that it was actually so much nicer to have it be in a suit because your cords weren't getting tangled up all the time, and the Velcro wasn't getting like. So that's why we have it in a suit in the first place. Which I get that question all the time. Is like, why is it in a suit? I don't want to have to put on a skin tight suit. Because that's valid, you know, it's like, might be a little vulnerable, you know, I think it makes me feel cool, but it's there because it makes it easier. Yeah.
And the placement accuracy. So it has a patch for the hub where all the electronics go, which is in your back. It has a pocket for your battery. It has a second pocket where you can put your backup battery. There's the way to tie the glove to the suit using Velcro. So as far as the convenience of putting on the suit is faster than strapping each individual sensor in the correct position. You have to use a Sharpie and mark the places for people to put them on and off. So it is a huge, huge convenience. Plus, it's a really nice suit. And my favorite thing, Sam, the hanger. The hanger.
I love it. It's so nice.
The hanger alone, it has it's plastic. It's wooden,
yeah,
and it's got
it's
plastic.
like this something good. I don't know what I totally agree with you though. It's like the nicest hanger. I
Yeah,
don't know
this is
what
not
it is.
just a painted black.
No, it's like
Hanger.
this. It feels like
It's a,
vinyl almost.
yeah, but it's a rubbery. It's I think that if anything, buy the suit for the hanger and leave the
Yeah,
suit somewhere. But
get multiple suits really, because you're gonna want more than one of these. So it's a small price to pay, I think, for a really solid hanger. But yeah, I've got grown to love the suit. It makes me feel like a cyber ninja, so I love it.
I did a
Okay,
video
well,
on my YouTube channel. I did a video on my YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, YouTube / @Noseman, it's under my name, Athanasios Pouzantzis. I did a video, and it does make you feel like a superhero. I even use that line in that
I think
video.
I remember that.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It
you
gets
get
really
the
good when
hanger.
you start picking up packages and stuff, or like I have to talk to the mailman, and I'm constantly wearing this, and I'm like, I don't know. Welcome to San Francisco. That's just This is what people wear in the streets everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Well, should we jump into cinema now? I feel like I want to show the basic workflow. Let's do that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Do you want me to show workflow? Do you want you to show workflow?
Yeah. Okay. What we just recorded, and I'm going to unpair this face. We don't need this face, but this is what we made earlier, right? This is what we made earlier. So let's export this out. Then we can quit Rokoko Studio, and it'll stop dropping me out of the internet, hopefully. So when we're exporting clips, we have a bunch of different types of export options. BVH, which some Blender people like, but I never use. I just use the FBX because that's standard. But we can include the body mesh or not. I'm going to
Give it a few seconds.
Skeletons, depending on the program, blah, blah, blah. We can do custom frame rate. I like 30, so we're going to leave it at 30. And let's rename this, of course. We'll call this Maxon Live Fun. And we will export this out. So if I hadn't been rambling, right, and we hadn't been doing all these back and forths and all these things and the live streaming, hopefully you can see how getting the suit takes you 90 seconds, recording the mocap takes you 3 minutes, and then exporting takes you, whatever, 20 seconds.
Sam, and it takes you 5 minutes to fix the foot contact. 5 minutes.
It takes you 5 minutes, hopefully less than that. I also try to keep my clips shorter, right? That is one thing that I try to keep mocap clips to under 2 minutes because you just end up with really big FBX files, and it means more foot cleanup. But yes, you're absolutely right. That is a part of the necessary part of the process, is making sure that your foot contacts look good. So that is a part of it for sure.
And that's 5 minutes, including watching Sam's video, by the way. I didn't say that, but that's,
yes.
Yeah.
No, it's really quick. And it was not as quick in the past, but we've pushed some firmware updates that have made it much better. So it's going to continue to get better. So hopefully less and less of this cleanup as we go. But that's it, right? In 7 minutes, let's call it, less, like, you can have all the mocap you need. And again, it's unlimited mocap. There's no cap. There's no tier. It's just like, you just make as much as you need. So there we go. So I'm going to go through now a few demo projects that I have. And the first one, I just want to show the basic retargeting workflow in Cinema 4D for Rokoko, which you can find many good resources for in the past Maxon Live trainings on our YouTube channel. But I think it's worth showing how easy this is. So let's go, and we're going to file merge objects. I'm going to go to my desktop, Maxon Live, cancel this phone call I'm getting. Sorry. Maxon Live Fun Mixamo. It's just an FBX. Let's import it. Hey, we got our motion capture, right? Looking good.
And this is exactly what you recorded live. We've lost Sam again. There you go. Yes, the answer was yes.
Yeah. This is all just what we recorded, 30 minutes ago or whatever. What you will see that's very important is that the tier, let's hide these. Oh, don't want to hide my mocap though. The T0, the first frame will always be a T-pose. And that's very important in motion capture retargeting because you need to have a similar pose between your character and your mocap, right? So it comes in a T-pose. I downloaded my Mixamo character in a T-pose. And now how do we get this mocap onto our character? Well, let's organize this a little bit first. We'll call this character, Alt-G. Of course, to group, we'll call this mocap, just to keep it a little cleaner. I've got some Rokoko live tags on here. I'm just going to delete these. But on the, our character's hips, we're going to go and we're going to add under rigging tags, a character definition tag. If we go to Open Manager, we do something called character definition. So this is something that you need to do in all CG softwares when it comes to mocap. Essentially, you need to tell Cinema, hey, this is the upper right arm bone. I'm going to go and I'm going to tell you what the upper right arm bone of my mocap is too, so that when you copy the data from my mocap to my character, it knows where to put it all. It knows where the
we went into this in great detail. We went into this in great detail in the previous month. So to understand what Sam is going to do from this point onwards, make sure you watch the September month with Joe Herman and watch his tutorials because he goes through all these processes.
And in much greater depth, which is really valuable. And because it was a great resource because there's not a lot of mocap resources out there. So when you get something that's so comprehensive as that, it is really worth your time if you're working in mocap to go watch those past ones with Joe. But because this is a Mixamo character, all we have to do is hit extract skeleton. Cinema loves Mixamo. It's a standard character, right? So it's very easy. We're going to go add the same character definition tag to our mocap, extract skeleton. We exported a Mixamo skeleton from Rokoko Studio. So that was 2 seconds, right? And now on our character, we go hit create solver on our character definition tag, and we simply drag in the character definition tag from our motion capture, and we hit play. And that's it. That's retargeting, right? That's it. And that's a great workflow. And this, I don't know when the character definition tag was added. I think it was R23 maybe. It might have been R22, but it's a fantastically easy way to do retargeting. And especially if you're using more standard characters. Although you can save, if you use a non-standard character, you can save character definition presets. So you only have to do it once. If you were to have to go in manually and say, hey, this is my clavicle. And if we go in this list, you can see it's got, it went in and defined all of these. But
a disclaimer, a disclaimer is that during the whole process, if you have to deal with any problems, this would be considered the hardest thing to do, not because it's hard technically, but you have to open your two hierarchies next to each other. And because the naming could be different, the actual hierarchical level could be different, and you can't touch either or of them. You can't touch any of those. So what you just need to do is make sure that the names of the rig you're trying to create definition for read the proper names from the one you're trying to retarget. And again, we went into detail with that. And from all the processes, this is the more tedious one, just because you have to read things and copy and paste things and go one by one through the joints just to make sure. So it's just a process. The concept is very simple. But once you've done it, you need to do it once. You need to create your preset definition only once for each differently named rig. For example, you can use any Mixamo rig from the Mixamo library, from Rokoko Export, which uses the Mixamo rig, with Cinema 4D's Mixamo control rig. They will all work with the same definition. But if you have something from Cascadeur, for example, or another type of rig, you need to create it only once, and then you can use it even bidirectionally. So you can map one to the other. In theory, you can do manual animation in Cinema 4D, then bring a mocap empty rig from Rokoko Studio. Why would you do that? But, maybe you just want to fool around. An empty, without any motion, a T-pose, and do that. Again, that was a joke, right? There's absolutely no reason you would
You
ever
could
need to.
though. Who knows? There could be a reason to do that. I'm sure there's a workflow that would do some weird combination, because then you could have your cast. I don't know. You could combine it in the motion clip system or something. There's a reason for everything. I'm sure we could dig deep enough to find something. But yeah, it is really easy. And, a lot of characters, I buy a lot of characters. Again, I'm a generalist, right? I download them, and a lot of them have Unreal skeletons. Like, I made one Unreal preset and it works with all of them, right? So it's really easy system to use. And even if it looks complicated, I think the thing is, in CG, right, in motion capture, it's all relative. Relative to the other solutions, this is like pretty good. And you could see, once you figure it out, it's 5 seconds. It's so easy to do. So it's a great way to do retargeting. Now, we've retargeted some of our mocap onto our character. Let's see if we can go. And actually, I'm going to just build. I want to show off should we do? Okay, you tell me, Thanasis. Should we show the Mixamo control rig, or do we want to dive into some other interesting demos? I don't know how we're doing on time, because the Mixamo control rig you guys covered.
Oh yeah. To a great extent.
Okay. Okay.
We have passed our quota, but we always overrun.
Okay.
It's part of our traditions. I would like you to talk to us, talk about any new technologies, any new thing, or show us some good examples.
I'll show you some good examples. Yeah, I think
it's going. Like, maybe, do you have a sneak peek of what to expect? Because you always, Rokoko always introduces something exciting. I didn't expect single camera AI for free. I didn't expect multiple camera AI. I didn't expect, EMF technology and all that. So is there any nice little tidbit of information, if you're allowed, and you not?
Yeah, actually, I mean, the big tidbit, I wish I could show the coil, but because our team is in Denmark, our dev team is in Denmark, I have like an old prototype and it's not worthy for live. But the coil is really exciting. If you want to know more about that, it's EMF. It's a new type of mocap technology. It works. There's no occlusion issues. It does absolute tracking. That's really exciting. One of the other sneak peeks that we already talked about was that we've talked about this before, but we are very actively almost there with this Android head cam solution. And so this is going to be a new unit like this. It will be a very lightweight head rig, but it will not hold a phone. There'll be an integrated super, now you can get cameras that are very high def and they're very lightweight and tiny, like very tiny, right? Like grams in weight, that will be integrated into the unit that you will plug into your Android or iOS phone. But of course, the camera is not an iOS true depth camera. So, and it will do facial motion capture. So we're really excited about that. Yeah. And I love this thing. Like, we nailed it with this product, I think. I don't know why I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but like, we killed it with this. But at the end of the day, you still have an iPhone hanging out in front of your face, which is like light, but also isn't nothing. And so I'm so excited to have a unit that will just feel like nothing on your head. I mean, it will just feel like a baseball cap, right? We actually had a version of it that was not integrated into a unit, and it went on a baseball cap. So it was, you wore a baseball cap, any baseball cap you had, and then you just tucked this camera, because it's like 3 grams or something. It's so light, these little high def cameras. Anyway, so I'm really excited about that stuff. That's coming. I don't know when it's coming, but we'll have something to show by the end of the year. I'm confident saying that. I hope it's sooner, but that's really exciting for us. And that'll be you just feel like Andy Serkis when you don't have without the iPhone, you really start feeling like, it just is something that was not possible. And as great as this is, once you start getting into motion capture and recording mocap, you come to understand that performance is real. Like, acting is a very real skill. And if you can have less things weighing you down literally and physically, literally and figuratively, as you attempt to act emotion and perform in a very, in something that's real. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm super excited about that. That's a little tidbit. Does that satisfy?
Well, I can extend on that without knowing anything, saying that
please,
true depth cameras, because now their production cost has gone down dramatically because of the industry using them in cell phones. I think we're going to see integrated high resolution video and true depth cameras come in small gram packages. And if anyone is wondering why just use your phone, well, because it has that substantial weight, there's always a bit of wiggle. Now that wiggle is taken care of mostly by software, but it's still a limitation when you're trying to do more faster moves. A lot of the things about human motion is that we if we're startled, we do a very quick motion, and those kind of motions are quite difficult to catch with these devices. There's always a bit of lag, but nonetheless, I think that maybe not in the very distant future, we may see combos of using infrared technology, because that's a lot of the way that true depth cameras work and so forth, and that will be very, very exciting, because now it becomes even more compact. It becomes much lighter. The inertial sensors are going to become a bit more accurate, and you never know, maybe they put a switch at the bottom of your foot and contact the ground, or some sort of pressure sensor, so the system knows exactly when a foot is touching. One thing I didn't say is that your new improved studio, it recognizes height, so you can go upstairs, right? And you can move. Yes.
We didn't talk about that yet, but we have elevation tracking. It can work. It works in real time, but also it's usually something that you do in a recorded clip, and it works great. You can go upstairs, and that was a really cool update, because the way that our tech used to work, because it's all ground. Again, we've talked a lot about how important foot contact with the ground is. It used to assume that if you went up onto a higher surface, that was now the ground. And so it would just shove your character back to the ground. And now we have this elevation tracking, which again, you can find tutorials on our YouTube channel.
Yes,
and
I want to say one more thing in terms of performance. So for this, I'm just going to share my screen. Now, this is an asset that I purchased, and this comes with all sorts of motions, and I've combined these motions using the motion system. I did that a long time ago. And if you look at this, if you look at the performance of this character, this is definitely not a humanoid, right? At least not in my view. And it has the wings and the tail and all that. If you are, let's say, if you plan it well enough, you can use the gloves with your hands to do the wings. You can do nice organic motion, close them, open them, and do that kind of performance. You can do your feet in a separate performance, where you just jump up and you keep only the data from your legs for the jump. You can do then your hands in a separate motion. So you can, and no one is stopping you from combining different motion captures of totally different parts of your body, or even the same parts of your body, and then just combining them into one rig, because the motion itself is there. Whether I do this with my fingers, or whether it's wings on my back that do exactly the same motion, it doesn't really matter. So once you get a performance capture system, it's not just about capturing a human motion doing whatever, even if it's Gollum on his knees doing whatever he's doing. No, you can apply that to anything you want, and you can use any components you want. You can repeat. You can make a four-arm monster by doing a normal performance, and then doing a different performance, and just grab the arms and using them on that four-arm monster. You can make a centaur by using maybe stock horse motion, and then just detaching half your body waist up and using it for Centaur.
Yes.
But
Yes.
overall, there are no, I would say, there are no limitations in how you can use it, because what you want is that realistic motion. And if you are a seasoned animator, character animator, and you go ahead and you animate everything properly, and it takes days and days of doing that, and weeks and months, you can capture the spirit of that motion to a very high degree of accuracy using a very affordable performance capture solution like Rokoko. And then it's up to you. The tools exist. Cinema 4D has all the tool set you need to put things together. You can put cloth simulations between the spines and the wings and the tail, and you can do whatever you want. Essentially, there's no limit.
It's one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite things about cinema, and I think especially when it comes to characters, and you're trying to make something very real. The fact that I can put a cape on a character, use the vertex tag to only make part of that cape dynamic, and just have it all easy, ready to go. The rest of the cape at the neck follows the character. The flowingness of the cape is happening, and that sort of stuff, like adding little scraps of cloth in cinema specifically, is so much easier than a lot of the other programs. And it adds so much realism to, because there's that secondary motion of, even right now I've got wires that are, if you can add little things like that, which again is super easy in cinema, it elevates all the mocap, right? And mocap in the end, it's so much, you need a good, a well-rigged character will look better than a poorly rigged character, right? There's so many things that go into making like that really beautiful mocap take, but you can do it all in cinema. And you can get really creative in how I've seen you did the Raptor stuff. I've seen Shutter Authority do a bunch of Raptor stuff. That's not cinema, but still the idea of using dynamic tails that just follow your Raptor, and you don't even animate it, and it just follows the hips of the character. Or like I'll have a bunny, like a cute, like anime bunny with really long ears. You just make the ears soft bodies, and it adds so much, so you can get really creative with it. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I think on that note, to quote someone quite famous, I think we have reached the limit of our overrun. We've overrun only by 33 minutes.
Sorry.
And
Yep.
I think that at least for me, it was enlightening. Although I've used the technology and all that, it was amazing to see how simple it was. All real life, right? Everything that Sam did, nothing was recorded. So even him putting the suit on was not an animation. He did it in front of you.
Yeah.
So, and this is what I like, which is very similar to Maxon's philosophy. That's why when we do shows, people show Cinema 4D live, how it works. A lot of other competing products, they do recorded sessions, which is not a bad thing. I've done that a few times in the past. But the realism of actually doing it, what's the effort to set things up? What do you need to press to do this? See it in real time, do it, and there you go. Sam did from putting on the suit all the way to recording the capture and bringing it into Cinema 4D and transferring it on another rig. And that always amazes me how nicely things work. So I would first of all like to thank Sam and Rokoko for, first of all, for being on the show. Second, for providing me with the ability to test this amazing technology. And if you have any questions, where can people find you besides your YouTube channels and all that?
You can find me on Instagram at the.jabberwock. Little Alice in Wonderland call back there. And, Rokoko.com and our YouTube channel. I do a live stream every Thursday at 11 a.m. PST. It's just like what we did here. It's all live. I break things go wrong, and we fix them in real time. You can ask questions. You can request mocap. And thank you so much for having me. I mean, I will just quickly say, I taught myself Cinema 4D, like most of this community, And it's because of the community. It's because of the Maxon team. It's because of Grayscale, whatever, Video Copilot. But like, I thank you for having me on, and I'm so happy to be a part of this. And yeah, you guys are amazing. Never stop making the tutorials, because it sets cinema apart, I think, in a lot of ways, is the community that we're willing, Punisher is out there doing his cinema stuff and showing how he works. And that's how we all learn. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, we do have a great community, and it's an honor to have you around and call you a friend. And I'm going to do the closing, the closing housekeeping. If I can find my tab somewhere around here, I can never find my tabs. Yeah, there's something I don't know. I can't use a PC, so I'm trying to.
This is when the thing goes wrong. This is when it goes wrong. This is good. This is at the end.
I mean, other things went wrong. Me not
I had some internet dropouts.
Yeah. I don't have an idea of where everything is. I can't. There you go. Found it. So let me bring up my screen now and go through the motions. So first of all, Maxon events, where everything is posted on past, future, and present events that are happening and shows and so forth. The Maxon Training Team YouTube channel is the place where you can find all the shows we do. And we do shows pretty much every day of the week. And you'll find everything that has been recorded lives over here. The Maxon YouTube channel has a ton of stuff and links to our other YouTube channels. ZBrush YouTube channel. Go learn ZBrush. It's an absolutely amazing piece of software. If you want to become a certified pro user or certified trainer, go to the Maxon certification page. Check out the topics. And I've opened it again. I have it here. There you go. Scroll them down and read and see which topics you don't know. You'll find them in quick tips, and you can always ask questions. Go get your free t-shirt. Spooky renders, one word or caps, in the Maxon merch store, and for the month of October. Check out Cineversity. And this is the series of videos that Joe Herman did that relate to the topic we discussed today. Go check them out. At the same time, we have the September Demystifying Post-Production that dealt with the subject. And between this series and the September Demystifying series, I think you'll have all the information you need to do whatever you want to do. Go visit the Rokoko website over here, rokoko.com, and their YouTube channel. And on that note, I bid you farewell. Thanks for watching, and find me on Twitter at NosemanGR, and we'll be answering any of your questions. Dear Sam, it was a pleasure seeing you.
You as well. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye, everyone.